I'm Robin Crane, and this is the Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way podcast. Listen, I was a financial advisor for over a decade, and I got so sick of the old archaic strategies that your grandpa used to get clients. What the industry teaches today is still so outdated and just doesn't work anymore. So I had to find a better way for myself, and then I got obsessed with sharing these how-tos with other women like me. The stuff I teach doesn't require giving up your life, your sanity, or your family time. I want women like you to have it easier than I had it, so you can thrive in the industry. I've now helped thousands of women grow their financial businesses to multiple six figures, some even seven figures per year. So on this podcast, you're going to get an inside look at how they did it so you can do it too. Let's dive into the show.
Welcome. I am so excited. I had to shush my guest, which is not very nice, but it's because she has so many goodies to share. I'm like, wait, we got to get this on the podcast. I don't want to repeat anything. And this is so good. Okay. So I just found out because I came unprepared, just came right to the podcast from a coaching call, completely unprepared. Let's just be real. And I found out that this woman was a pop star, which is really interesting. And I want to know if I know any of your songs, in a group called Boy Crazy. That's so interesting because I feel like I know someone who had a similar name.
Someone who was in that group. I mean, there were only 5 of us. So.
Well, maybe, I don't know. So this is Josselyne Herman
Saccio.
I was kind of going to guess that. Okay. And I'm just excited. She's a transformative coach. She's helped over 200,000 people. She's done probably more talks and presentations and helping that we can all count. And she looks really young. So it's just apparently smoke and mirrors because she lives in Paris. In her work with both individuals and organizations, she has had the honor of guiding many people through the empowering process of becoming unmessable with. So we're going to get into that, what the heck that means, but I'm actually more curious about some other stuff first.
Yeah.
So you told me you used to lead the forum Landmark. So tell me a little bit about that because not everybody knows about it. I actually never did Landmark. I think, I did kind of the Tony Robbins work and I had a coach for, actually I'm still working with him. It's been over a decade and he used to lead Landmark. Maybe you know him, Jeff Slater. Do you know Jeff?
Nope.
Okay. Kane Minkus. Well, they met there, but anyway, so they used to lead Landmark, but tell us a little about that because not everybody knows about it. And I know it's amazing and I'm kind of curious.
Landmark's one of the best things I ever did. But I originally participated in transformative seminars when I was 11 in something called the EST training, which doesn't exist anymore. It was back in the 70s. It was a very 70s thing. And that I did because my mother did it. When my parents were separated, they were going to get divorced. And then a year later, my dad did it and they got back together. And they just celebrated their 65th year together. My parents are 90 and 92. And if it hadn't have been for transformation, I know, insane, right? Hadn't have been for transformative seminars, we wouldn't have the family we have. So I was like, well, can I do it? And they had a kids version. So I did it. And I was just always in that conversation of what's possible and blah, blah, blah. So then when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I reviewed it, or I did the forum basically. And that's when I started leading transformative work. So I became a leader for Landmark. And I also fulfilled my lifetime dream of getting a record deal, which was literally in 3 weeks. I was in a seminar. I saw the limiting belief that was keeping me from acting on my singing career. I always wanted to be a singer since I was 4. And I lived inside of a reality that you don't do your art as your career. That just was the way it was, right?
And how old were you when you became a pop star?
22, 21.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a baby, but I was the oldest one in the group. They were all 14 and 15. Wow. But I saw that insight in a seminar. And then
were you
3
the
weeks later,
singer?
I had we were a singing group.
It was like a girl band.
It wasn't even a band because we didn't play instruments. It was a girl group. We were the female version of New Kids on the Block.
Yeah,
which might be
I meant like a boy band, like a girl band, like New Kids on the Block. That's exactly what I was thinking. That is so cool. So did you dance as well?
We did. It's frightening. You can look up videos and see me.
I can't wait to look up videos.
Thigh-high boots and overalls with one thing down. And
how long did that last?
We were together for 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a dream come true. We traveled.
Can you sing like your the pop song, the hit song? Give me a little
Sure.
A little of it.
That's what love can do. I don't wanna break your heart in two. And that knocked Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" off number one spot. We were the next number one.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to age you here because people are going to do the math, but like what year was this? Because I'm wondering how old was I?
1912.
It wasn't.
It was no.
I know it wasn't 1912.
With you. No, it was. We got together in 1991 or 1990, and the hit was 1993. It was 30.
Okay, so I was like basically a junior. In 93, I was a junior in high school.
You are our target audience.
Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, I probably know some of that music, but maybe I just wasn't, as into the girl band stuff. I probably was listening to New Kids on the Block. I didn't really listen to New Kids on the Block too much, but so that's so interesting. So what did that, I'm so curious, like there's all these other things you can teach, but I'm curious. I didn't tell you this, but I used to be a singer songwriter. So
come on.
I mean, and I didn't make it or have much success at all, but it was fun and it was a good experience. But I'm curious, like, cause one of the things I was thinking about when I was doing, trying that path and whatever is like, even if I was successful, like I could imagine, and I was more of the folksy type, like I would think about people like Dar Williams and those people that were successful, but they probably weren't making all that much money. And I'm like, I'll probably only make like 60 to 100 grand or, something like that. So it's going to be really hard to be financially successful unless you hit it big. And so I'm curious, like, did that set you up financially? Because 5 years of girl band, like, or was it the record got it all, or did you actually make good money? And like, did you come out a millionaire?
We did not make good money at all. In fact, thank God I was producing television commercials during the time and I had a mortgage and all of that. I was like a grown up 20-year-old. I think we made like $17,000 in 5 years.
No.
Yeah. And we had a number one record.
You took down Whitney Houston as number one and you made 17 grand in 5 years?
Yeah. And I'll tell you why, because we didn't write the song.
Oh,
the people who make money are the writers.
I still made no money.
Yeah, well, there you go. Welcome to.
But maybe I should have tried to do something with my songwriting. Wow, that is still crazy.
You have a catalog. That's worth money.
Well, maybe we should talk about that. Like,
that's a side hustle. Okay.
Yeah. But so holy crap, that's so crazy. 17,005 years. So you were like, this is why all the big pop stars are still writing stuff about, being broke and all the things. You're like, I mean, I know the whole, especially back then with like recouping and like they're paying for it. So you're living this life. It looks like, limos and everything. So which is kind of cool.
It was awesome. We went to Japan.
You don't have to pay for anything. So it's like, you don't need the money, but then you have no money to like, get ahead financially or pay for your mortgage.
You basically, I couldn't pay my electric bill, but I was riding around in limos, it was awesome. God, but it was so awesome. Cool. And I, was always very good with money. And before I was doing that, I was running a company. And so I had money set aside, but the kids, I don't mess around, right? So
right. That's why you're here.
The kids in the group, they were living with their parents. So they didn't have bills. So it was like I was the only one who had like that kind of life.
Did you just always looked young? Like how did you get away with being like 22 and everybody else was like 14?
Well, it's funny because when I auditioned for the group, this is how the whole thing went down. So like I had this insight about.
We might have to do a part 2 actually talking about the transformative work. But like right now, I just want to know all the things. Like this is just too entertaining.
Well, my girlfriend, who at the time was the St. Pauli girl, which is a blast from the past. And she used to be on Facts of Life, many years ago.
I know Facts of Life. Yeah.
Yeah. So her name's Felice. So she auditioned for this group. They were looking for female.
This is your girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, she's just.
You're not still together.
Okay. No, she's not like my partner. She was my girlfriend, like my friend.
Okay.
So, I'm married 30 years, 3 kids, like that. Okay. So in any case, so she auditioned for this group, Boy Crazy, because they lost their 5th member and needed to replace the 5th member. And she was more dancer and they were looking for more singer. And I had just started introducing myself to people as a singer once I had this breakthrough in the forum. So I like literally just told her the week before that I was a singer. I never told her that because I was like a business person, whatever. Yeah. And she says to them, I'm not right for this, but my friend Josselyne is a singer. So I get this phone call from the manager going, well, we hear you're a singer. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. How could that happen? I just started introducing myself to people.
Talk about manifesting. Like, that's insane.
Magic, right?
Oh my God.
They go, we're looking for this, blah, blah, blah. So I go and I have a demo I had made in that last week. So I went and I gave them the demo, and I'm sitting there in the meeting.
Like in your basement, you must have made a demo like on a cassette, like in your basement or something.
It was on a cassette, but it was, friends of mine had a studio. I mean, I knew a lot of people.
Okay.
And, I was producing commercials at the time, so I knew people with studios.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. So I had the demo, and I meet with them, and we're having this whole conversation, and they're telling me about the group. And I'm like, this is like my dream come true. This is what I've wanted since I was 4 years old. And I'm telling them this, right? So then they call, or the agent calls me and says they decided to go with a younger girl. So this is going back to your question, because all these kids are like teenagers, right? And I was like, okay, fine. That's fine, because now I see it's possible, and I'm going to now act on it. So I start making a list of all the people I know in the music business and who can I reach out to. And the next day I went out to lunch. This is before cell phones, right? Where they had them, but they were like 9 pounds. So I was out
only in the car. Yeah,
exactly. Those big, huge things, suitcases. And I was out to lunch with a friend. We were organizing like a charity benefit, and I was out for like 3 hours. And I come back to my office, and there's like 10 messages from the agent on this job. And I go, what is it? And she goes, they changed their mind. They want to go with you.
Wow.
They decided having somebody older could keep the girls in line. Ha, ha, ha. Well, that didn't work out quite well, but
did they respect you? Like, did it help? Or did you feel like it was like, I have to be mom, and it was annoying, and you were just passing them the drugs?
It really,
you don't have to admit
I was
that.
Definitely not. No, I never, I'm not, that's not my
I'm just
thing.
kidding.
But one of the girls, the youngest girl, traveled with her mother. So the mother and I would hang out and sit at the table drinking coffee while the girls were like out buying magazines and whatever with our
you were not just were you 22, but like you were a very mature 22. Like to have a business already by then, to be like working and to start personal development at 11. I mean, who does that? Most people, my first introduction to personal development, I think 29 years old, maybe 30.
Yeah, most people
financial
are more
advisor.
like that.
Yeah. And it was like, I'm like, what is this? And then I would hear some people like that, like the anomaly where like they grew up and their parents would put, someone in, on the cassette in the car when they go on drives. And I'm like, oh my God, imagine what my life would be like if like I learned this when I was a kid, which is one of the reasons why like I want to teach that to my kids. I just bought these bracelets that I was trying to find the right size, but those like jelly bracelets, sure. Like they say something on it. And so I bought them that had like positive sayings, because I just want to keep like indoctrinating my kids and learning like they get to control their life and their lives, and they get to have what they want. And so have courage and all this stuff. But the ones I got were like, they were so hard to understand that, Amazon like immediately took them back. I'm like, what does this mean? And it was like a very confusing quote. But I'm getting another shipment today, so we'll see. But I'm like on this, I'm still in my gym clothes. I'm like on this health kick right now and waking up early and doing all the things, to get in the right mindset. And so I wake up, like I saw my kids were waking up. They actually slept in the same bed last night. It was so cute. Like my 5-year-old son, he's like, Sage, can I sleep in your bed tonight? And she's 3, and he's the one that's asking, can I please like hang out with you, little sister? Adorable. And she's like, yeah, you can sleep here tonight. So I woke up to find, they were waking up in her bed. And she has a big king size bed, weird for a 3-year-old, but anyway, she does. And so I walk in there and I'm all motivated. I'm like, come on, you guys want to get up, want to exercise? Like, let's do some motivation. Like I wanted them to kind of, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, well, just do the things like brush your teeth, go potty.
If I had a big king size bed and I was 3, I wouldn't want to get out of it either. It's like I know. Bed, My son is named Sage.
No way.
Yeah, my almost 21-year-old. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh, well, I love the name Sage. Yeah. So amazing. So there's so much stuff. It's like I really do think we need a part 2. So I'm gonna go deep instead of like just try to get everything, because I would love to have you again.
I'd love to see you again.
Oh, we're like basically like
I know we're like the same people, except you're much younger than me.
Not that much. But so what was it like? I mean, obviously you had a lot of, quote unquote motivation when your parents almost like that is something extremely traumatic for a kid when your parents are going through a divorce or almost going through a divorce, and to see something turn that around, like obviously that's going to make a huge imprint on you. Like, so it's almost like, I feel like, oh, that's the key to raise my kids to be so awesome and become pop stars. It's like, all I got to do is pretend I'm going to get a divorce with my husband. Right when I'm doing that, I go to a motivational seminar, do some transformative work. And I'm like, kids, this is why we stay together. And boom, they'll be perfect. No, just kidding.
Yes, their master plan is coming to fruition.
But how did that affect you growing up? Like, it must have been hard in some ways that you almost like, I know you probably didn't feel enlightened, but I guess that's an extreme word to use. But my guess is, with having that knowledge as a teenager, when most people are in their problems that are like not problems, like it's hard for me. I see my 16-year-old daughter and I was like, really? Like, and I try not to judge and all that. And I'm like, okay, I understand, like, yeah, why you're giving yourself a hard time about this. And you don't know if you should not date this kid or not, that you're definitely not going to marry. But it's like,
they don't know that at that time.
Yeah. And I get it. And I try to like go back to when I was a teenager, but living it when you're 11, 12, 13, whatever, even through high school, when you kind of know this secret that no one else is going to want to listen to, and no one else is going to want to know, and no one's probably going to believe you. Like, what was that like? Were you trying to teach it? Were you?
No, not at all. It was very natural. When young people do, all my kids did the transformative work when they were 6 and 7. So they've grown up inside of having the tools. I mean, if I had done this when I was 6, a lot of things would be different too.
What did they do specifically? I'm taking notes. Like, what did you put them in? Forum. Okay.
They did the forum. I mean, and they did the advanced course, which is the second part of the curriculum at Landmark. And I led the advanced course for more than 30 years. And the forum I led, and I helped design the advanced course, and I coached people that lead there. So I was like enmeshed for 30 years.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Because
Sure.
You reminded me of one of the reasons why I didn't do the forum is because I heard, and this is so crazy, but this is, I think, really good for the, those of you listening who, you want to get referrals, but you're afraid to ask. Because what I remember is that someone said they went to the forum, and afterwards there was like a lot of pressure to give referrals, or like to basically introduce people to the forum, almost a little cult-like. And I'm this is just my memory of it. I could be totally
no. That's lots of people have that conversation about it, and especially if they haven't done it, but even, whatever.
And I never did it. Right. And I did then eventually to Tony Robbins and things like that. And I still haven't done the forum, but now I feel like I should. But that was one of the things I heard and scared me, because I'm like, I know I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm going to love this, but like, I don't want to be in that position where I have to like push people to go.
Yeah,
so
you never have to do that at all.
It's like totally made up.
But the whole thing about being pressured, people, first of all, there's no such thing as pressure in the world, right? So people feel pressured waiting to happen. You go into a store, somebody goes, "Can I help you?" You're like, "Don't pressure me." It's like, we're just, as a culture, it's
our stuff.
It's our stuff. And it's kind of like, it's a good distinction in the forum, actually, which is talking about what happened and the story about what happened and how we conflate those two things. So somebody says, come do the forum. I think you should do the forum. Like if I said to you, "Oh my God, you would love the forum. You should totally do the forum." You could go, "Stop pressuring me."
Right.
Or you could be like, "Wow, you really give a hoot about my life," or, you care about me, or whatever. So it's no different than, "Oh my God, I just found the best restaurant in the whole world." People get very enthusiastic when they come out of the forum because they're free.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything as effective in such a short amount of time.
Sounds awesome.
Literally take away lids and limits. So in any case,
I'm like already regretting not going already.
You
so
should just do it.
Sign me up.
Do it online now. I'm telling. Well, I'm not there anymore.
Awesome.
I retired from Landmark.
Yeah, I know. It sounds awesome.
But
so again, awesome. if you don't know what this is, you're listening right now and going, "God, they're talking a lot about the forum and I have no idea what it is." You can look it up. Obviously, most people are not patient enough to wait to the end of the episode to look it up. But and she's not even promoting it because she's not even there. But
exactly. But it's the best thing I ever did.
It's essentially like a personal development seminar that, like you said, is completely transformative and really helps you probably learn more about yourself and how you react to things. And so that you
can be free to fulfill on what you want.
Yeah,
it's really, it's like high performance coaching on being in life rather than doing.
I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. But in any case, my kids all did that.
Cool.
So when I was, a teenager, all my friends were very heavy into drama, if you can imagine, teenage girls, right? Very heavy into drama. I didn't really things were not dramatic for me. I dealt with things as they happen and enabled me to graduate early. I was looking at, okay, do I want to stay in high school? Maybe I'll leave high school. I mean, I was literally like thinking all these things. I kind of want to start a recording studio. And then instead I worked out how to have it all by graduating early. I ended up going to business school for like 3 months. And I was like, you know what? This is not what I want to do. Now let me create something else. I created a recording studio. Then I fell into a job in production. I became the head of that company, writing the checks. I mean, by 19, I was running a company. But that was
a
tools.
Music studio company? What was the company?
No, that was an animation company. So I was producing animated commercials, and we were developing feature films, blah, blah, blah. It was great. And that's when I ended up getting the record deal after I was still producer. So I still freelanced as a producer while I was in Boy Crazy, which worked out pretty well because, I did need to pay that mortgage. So,
yeah. Gosh, that's so impressive. So what would you say based on, I'm really just cheating so I can come up with the title at the end of this, but what would you say based on what we already talked about, like some of the biggest takeaways so far, like that we've talked about or that you got, or that you could say, like, here's something important that you got to know when it comes to growing your financial business?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to be related to reality. And most people aren't. Most people live, and this is perfect, what we were talking about what's happening versus the story. Most people live in a story about their money. So they live in, I don't have enough, or, I spend too much, or whatever conversation you are about money. You got to get related to what's actually happening in your money. How much do you have in every account? How much do you make? How much do you spend? And most people are they don't even want to deal with that. But until you get related to what's actually happening, you can't really create what's possible, because anything you create is on shaky foundation. So that's the first thing I tell the people that I coach when they're having money stuff, is to do like a financial diary, an audit of everything that they have, everything that comes in and everything that goes out.
And by the way, because like most listening might say, oh, duh, like that's what I teach my clients. But the question is, like, are you actually doing it? Because, I know as a CFP and someone who knows what you're supposed to do, I definitely didn't always and still don't always do the right things and really have total clarity. And like, I'm always looking at the numbers and they have no idea. Or what are your KPIs when it comes to your conversions on your first meeting, second meeting, third meeting? Like, I'm looking at those key performance indicators, and most are not, right? So whether it's looking at your dollars or looking at your KPIs when it comes to your business, step one, you're basically saying is like clarity, and clarity is power. Everybody says, clarity is power, and all, clarity is, I don't know. I always say clarity is worth money, but when you talk
clarity with money, anything is power, because, if you don't know how much you weigh or what your cholesterol is, how are you going to impact your well-being? So it's the same principle, right? But money is so cool. I love numbers and I love money because you can't mess with that. It is unmessable with. Money is unmessable with, and so is math.
Did Tony Robbins tell you to say that? He says, say, I love numbers and numbers love me. I think he has people say that because so many people are resistant to that.
Yeah. And when you resist reality, you can't create what's possible. You just can't do it.
So reality, you got to know what's what.
And I have people with companies that they're bookkeepers or whatever, they're like a month behind on their reports. I said, you got to fire those people. You got to get new people or get them to do it so you have real-time updates, because you can't impact something that already happened. That's insanity.
Right. It's good. What else you got?
What about money?
Well, we're business. Like, I mean, you've been a business owner for,
30 years, 25 years.
Okay, a long time. Right. Many decades, or pop star. All the good stuff. What would be like just some of the things that you think is really important for them to think about, and incorporating like the transformative work, because that's what you're so great at, because we all know it's mindset. It's mostly mindset. But so one is like reality, like what is really happening, understanding your numbers, business or otherwise, or just understanding like how to read the scale. Like it might not be weight in this case, but it's like, right. What are the KPIs? What are the things you have to look at?
Well, the context is decisive. So I always tell this to people, and I'll demonstrate it for you, but in the context number, what is this?
1.
Yeah. And in the context body part, what is
body part? A penis? She's holding up one finger.
Yeah, so it's a finger, exactly.
Oh, I thought it was representing something.
No, it's not a trick question.
I'm sorry, I said penis. I said it. I said penis on my podcast. I had a podcast.
That's a whole other conversation that we could go into the source of that answer. But in any case,
oh boy,
no,
now we'll have to do like a podcast on all the transformative work I need, because I thought your finger represented a penis. But keep going.
But that's a very sad penis, if that's really, we need to talk about that.
It has nothing to do with my husband. I promise you, I was, for some reason, had my head in the gutter. I apologize. We can never turn back time. Okay.
I have that impact on people. But in any case, the point is nothing altered in reality, but the context is decisive. Oh, yeah. So in the context, direction, it's up. So it's the context inside of which you're operating that gives you your experience of life. And that's what's transformable. You can't transform stuff. You're not going to transform a lipstick into something else. You can change it. You can add to it. You can fix it. You can, which is what most people do in life. They try and fix themselves or change their partner or their business or whatever. But the context is what's giving you your experience of life, which gives you your actions, which gives you your results. So inside of business, if the context is survival or, managing what you've built, that's a very different context than what am I creating? And most people, especially effective, successful people, are really good at managing stuff, which is a different muscle than creating. And what they created in the beginning, like I'm sure you could recall even with your podcast, when you first created it, it was exciting and magical. You didn't know what you were doing. You were making mistakes. It didn't even matter. All of it was enlivening. But then you built it and it moved over from creation to management. And now you're not looking up and out. You're looking down and in, and who's my next guest? And do I have to do the studying?
I'm not. But my team is. But I don't know in this case if that's true. Not to make you wrong.
No, not at all.
But I think I'm very like, this is one of the places like because I just get to, as you saw, I didn't prepare. Like I show up, I chat, I have fun. This is my zone of genius. And I think it's like when I'm in my zone of genius where I'm coaching, I'm speaking. Creating. Entertaining, I'm in creation. And so luckily I don't have to deal with that. If I had to deal with it, I do sometimes edit the show notes, and I'll tell you that I'm in management and I don't like to do that. Yeah. And that is not my favorite because I just want to be like, I want to be in the creation mode. I want to do that. And I'm not, but in a lot of areas of my business, for sure, I am in that survival of managing, not of creating, and the stress and all that. Like I definitely get into those moments. And
that's the same thing with your clients or with anybody, especially in business. If you're doing something to pay the bills, or if the context is, I've got to get this client, otherwise we're not going to make our quota. That is not an empowering context. So you're never going to have the kind of magic and aliveness that you have when you're in creation mode, because you know the difference, of those two worlds, because they're two different muscles and they're two different worlds.
Okay, so I got a question for you. So at what point are you in too much creation? Because I will tell you, and this is no judgment to my extremely endowed husband. Yes,
very, of course.
Very endowed.
That's what I've heard. Hugely endowed.
Is that, he is a creator. He loves creation. And in the past, like he went through a $2.2 million bankruptcy. Like he's, getting back on his feet. Like it wasn't, he's not focused on he gets like that, but in the past, like he had those challenges. And so much creation a lot of times meant not so much money. And there are people like that it's like, there's just a lot of focus on creating, but they don't necessarily look at the KPIs. They're not necessarily focused on, and that takes like kind of step 1 and 2, what you talked about is like really important.
Reality. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Like, as long as they're paired together, or
it's not just paired together. It's when you create something, unless you have a structure to fulfill on it, it's a little bit BS. It's like airy fairy kind of pie in the sky, unless there's a pathway to reality. So a lot of that has to do with, what are the actions that are going to be required to fulfill on what you're creating? And then where do those actions live? Are they in your calendar? Are they in somebody's calendar? If you're not going to do it.
But that's managing, right? That's managing.
Well, you can manage from a creative space. Most people don't. because the default mode in management is to look down and survive and react to things. And, most successful people are really good reactors, which again is a different muscle, as you know, from creation.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because this is like my internal quest right now is to stop reacting. And it's such a challenge, because I've lived my life being successful because I react, and because of my ability to take action, like imperfect action too, like that I am just an action taker. I just go. It's not like ready, aim, fire. I'm like, fire, fire, course correct later. Like, let's fix it later. And that has gotten me here. But as everybody says, what got you here won't get you there. And so now, like, even you can hear with my voice, I'm so calm. Like, I am really aware of it. It does not mean I don't react, but even this morning, I'm embarrassed to say I spent 2.5 hours trying to fix my printer, only to find out by the end that it's not fixable and that I could have bought one that arrives. I could
less. Yeah.
I can buy one for $169. It will arrive today. Yep. Thank you, Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. So I'm like, holy crap. And the thing is, it's like I was reacting, because I'm like, I had to get these. We're sending some mailers out. I have, someone on my team is down the street who's doing it, but I'm like, holy crap, we have to send a lot. Yes, I could go to Office Depot, just your pain, like, and I was being cheap about it, but like, I'm already feeling like I'm taking a risk, all the reasons or whatever that I'm doing something extremely stupid. But the difference is, and I love that you said context, is that because I know I'm on this quest, I have a shift in awareness, and it doesn't always stop me. But like, I was actually excited, even in my frustration, of the learnings I was getting from it. Cause I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm never doing this again. I left 2 messages, one for my COO, one for my assistant. And I'm like, next time, if this ever happens, if we're in warranty, we get a new freaking printer. If we're out of warranty, we give it away, because I can't throw anything away, but we give it away and buy a new printer that day. Like, I am not doing this again, because I was like, that cost me like thousands and thousands of dollars to, like, I can't even, like, I just got into it, because it's like, I'm a finisher, right? So it's like, I could not, because I didn't have an appointment. I was supposed to be working on other things, but I didn't have a set appointment. This has to do with the container and managing that. I was like, the structure wasn't in place today, which is very unusual. So that I was like, oh, like, I just have to figure this out. Like, I was obsessed, and I actually wasn't even that frustrated, considering my normal frustration level with that. But I was just like, but I still kept taking the time. I was like, even nice to the person helping me on the phone. I was like, she's like, how was your day? And I said, well, I've been spending 2 hours on this. So it's not my favorite, but I'm really happy to be able to get this done. And she goes, someone from the Philippines or something. And she goes, I'm happy that you're happy. And I was like, thank you. And I was like, Robin, who are you? That was so calm. And I wasn't in like no frustration, but I was definitely like, that's not normally how I am. I'd be like, okay, just help me. Like, I have like 10 minutes, hurry up, And so anyway, I think the awareness is really helpful. Context, I think, as you said, it is really, really helpful. I also think there's just like, that what I said, and I don't know who said it, but what got you here will not get you there, is that realization for me has just been huge, because I've always been like, it's like I have taught myself that stress is actually the path and the conduit to success. And so I thought my unconscious mind.
Yeah, that's your brain patterns are just grooved into that.
Like, the only way I could be successful and continue to have success is that I have to keep being stressed. And what I realize is it's absolutely the opposite. And especially for next level for me, it's like, it's so exciting to think about, okay, I have this thing. I got to tell you one more thing. And I know we got to go because I'm going later, but who cares? Cause I want to tell you this thing. And I think, and everybody listening. So I had this FEM event. I don't think I talked about this on the podcast yet. If you've listened to all my podcasts and I talked about this again, tell me. That'd be so exciting. I'll give you a reward for listening. But I don't think I talked about it yet. But I had this event, and one of the ladies in my program, she has like, I think close to $1 million a year financial practice. Like, so she bought a business, acquired a business and they're a book of business. And so she's been very successful. And I do these hot seats at my event. And she said, Robin, I said, what's the challenge? And she's like, I'm so bored. And I'm just like, I feel bored and frustrated all the time. Like I'm at this like boredom and like just stagnant and just frustrated. I can't seem to get ahead. And so I was like, well, tell me more about that. Like, what's happening? And she's like, well, like she has a small team too. And like someone calls, of course, and she takes the call. And so what we realized during this hot seat is like everything is that she's reacting.
Yeah, you can hear it.
She's just reacting. And so I had this like vision of like my right and my left hand. And I was like, her name's Sam. And sorry about the notifications.
No problem.
To turn them off. It's like ding, ding, shush. I don't have to turn it off. But anyway, so I was telling her, I was like, so here's what I want you to realize. Oh, and this is what she said. Not only was she bored, feeling like things are stagnant, not moving, she was like, I'm exhausted.
It's draining.
How much I sleep, no matter what I do. And like, she's like, I'm exhausted. I'm not like having fun anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Cause all she's doing is reacting all day long. And so I was imagining like both my wrists. And I was like, so I want you to think about this. And like, I want you to think like your right wrist is like, this is your energy bar. And think of it as a battery. And like every time you don't react, and this was a hot seat for me, I was really just telling myself, I was like, every time you react, like it's basically on the left hand, like your battery is depleting. And I'm imagining like, oh, this is like
that's great
tattoo, but like you're depleting energy every time you react. And every time you pause, and every time you wait, and every time you don't react, and you actually, what is it? Sympathetic or parasympathetic? I always get confused.
Yeah, I get confused
your nervous system, the calming one.
Your hormones that are para. I think it's the para.
Yeah. So whenever you're calming yourself, it's basically like recharging your battery. And so you're recharging and recharging. And so as long as you stop reacting, and because that's so depleting, and instead you pause and you don't react, I'm like, then you're going to have more and more energy. You're going to feel more and more alive. And I said, when you're not tired, Sam, like when you're meeting with a client and you're really excited, we start talking about what she likes to do, like problem solving and financial planning and all the things. And I'm like, you don't feel tired. I'm like, I did not sleep very much. I'm getting up early. I, slept maybe 4 or 5 hours last night, and I've been pumped all day, except for the fact that when I was maybe doing the 2.5 hours of my
the printer thing maybe was a drain.
Printer thing was not maybe pumped, but like, then I get on a coaching call and then I get on this and I'm like, because I'm like, I don't feel tired. I don't feel exhausted. I'm not reacting. I'm present. And now I'm in the moment. Now I'm doing what I'm good at. And I'm like, and then it's like, when there's a pause. And so even yesterday, I got frustrated about something, and I was like, oh, like, I feel like I want this right now. And I'm feeling the urgency right now. And I'm like, it took me a couple minutes. I'm like, I'm going to not react, even though I feel like reacting will get me there faster. If I don't react, this is such an internal, like my internal dialogue right here, but it's like, if I don't react, I'm recharging the battery, and I'm telling the universe, like, I can do more. I'm okay. I don't have to react to everything. I heard the message. I get it. So I'm ready for the next level. And even though it's not going to get me the immediate result I think I want, because I'm not reacting, that sacrifice is to get me a bigger result overall. That's like aligned with my vision. That's like who I need to become so I can create everything that I want. So this has been my quest right now. And so I ordered, part of the reason I ordered those bracelets, and then I decided to order some for my kids, because I'm going to have my right hand have all the bracelets. You guys will see this on the next podcast because they're in the mail right now. But I'm going to keep putting like the bracelets on my right hand as I give myself more and more like positive energy. And then if I deplete it by reacting, I'm going to take a bracelet off my right hand, put it on my left hand, and show myself like I'm depleting the energy by reacting, so I can get
whatever it takes to keep it in reality for you. But let me offer you the next space of what you're creating.
And then we'll end it so they can go home or do whatever, or go on.
So being aware that you're reacting is great. It's a huge step. It's a first step and everything. But unless you have pre-created another road to go down, it's not going to carry the day, because you'll get that moment of calm. You'll take your breath, but you're going to end up back into the world of reaction because you haven't created a new pathway.
What's the new? Tony Robbins says the same type of stuff, because it's like if you get rid of smoking, you have to create the new. You have to replace it. So how do I do that? Teach me.
Well, that's context. I mean, that's what are you creating? What's your vision for this situation? So when you have a vision, so whatever it is, whether it's joy or if it's empowerment or whatever, whatever you make up, then you go, okay, so now what action would joy take right now instead of irritation or annoyance or whatever? So you get to neutral, but neutral the universe won't tolerate empty space. It's going to go somewhere. And that road of going down the reaction path is so grooved in. It's paved. It's easy. The road of creation is more like tree branches and you need to carve it. So you create something. And it's funny because on my right arm, I have a tattoo that says abracadabra, which means in ancient Aramaic, with my word, I create. So this is my arm to create anything. So whatever I'm doing at the moment, I bracket the reaction, I get to neutral, and then, okay, now what am I creating? And then that muscle gets as strong. Your reaction muscle is just super strong. It's like an overcompensating
But it's kind of more like, I mean, can I think of it as just like focus? Like, what am I going to focus on instead?
Well, it's act on. And come from. So it's really, if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen.
Well, breaths could be that, right?
Sure. I mean, breath can get you to neutral.
That usually. Okay.
Yeah. Breath can get you to the middle point. But then it's like, okay, now what? Okay, now what? You saw you were reacting. You got like uncrazy. Now you're calm. Okay. It's like an empty canvas. Now, what are you putting on the canvas? If you don't actively create something and act on it, then what's there by default will take over because it has more muscle memory.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of how in like these situations, like what I could do differently specifically, but like I still took the action. I just took a calm action, like I needed these stickers that I got upset about because my nanny accidentally returned them when I just got them that day and needed them for a mailing. And I freaked for about a second, maybe 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, this is really like perspective, breathe. Like this is me not reacting to this is going to reinvigorate me and not exhaust me. And this is going to, it's all going to work out anyway. And it really doesn't matter anyway. But then of course I went online and reordered the stickers for that. You have to wait till Friday, but they're coming, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you mean, but so is there a better example you can give me so I can make sure to learn from this and then we'll.
Sure. I can give you an example from someone else's life, but I could take this example. So you react, you're pissed off about the printer and the stickers and the thing, right? So now you get yourself calm, but that calmness is a reaction to your reaction. So now you're going to have a calm reaction to your irritation. So it's still the world of reaction.
What do I do? Tell me.
Okay. So if you notice it, you stop it, and then you go, okay, what is my commitment in this situation? What am I really committed to? I'm committed to getting the stickers done. Okay. I don't have to do this. What's the shortest pathway to getting the stickers done? You would have probably seen that other pathway much quicker if you weren't reacting to your reaction, because you were just dealing with your own reaction, trying to have a better reaction, a more calm reaction, but you were still in the same vicious circle of having to deal with it yourself. You should never spend 2.5 hours.
It's embarrassing. That's why I said it's really embarrassing.
That's the thing. So if you're clear about your
vision. I could do a whole podcast on that, like how we all do that dumb shit, and like how many things are you doing? And I don't usually do that stuff, but it's like when like you said, when there's empty space, sometimes like you fill it with dumb stuff. Like when there's a million other things I need to do. So very good stuff. Okay. Well, tell them how to find you. There's a million other things we could talk about. I gotta let them go.
Absolutely. The website is theartofbeingunmessablewith.com. So there's lots of different things on there to explore.
And we didn't even get to unmessable with, but like we'll get there next time. So thank you again for joining us. Check it out. And we'll put some of her other links in the show notes as well. All right. We'll see you next time. Hope you learned something and send me a message. Send me a message on, I don't know, Instagram, the old email thing, anything. I want to know what you're thinking. You like this? It was a little too long. You liked it long. You want to know more stories. You don't want the stories. I don't know. Not like I'm going to listen to everything everyone says, but I would like to get some feedback because I don't know. And if you haven't left a review yet, because I'm sure you haven't, because I never asked you to, leave a review. Leave a review. Now's my chance to ask for a review. I'm going to do it. All right. Leave a review. Hopefully it's a good one. And we'll see you next time. Bye.